Should we start now?
Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Rosefield Forum on Navigating Used Oil, EPR Policy Challenges and Practices. I'm Kasturi Bhave from Rosefield Energy Tech, and it's my pleasure to open this important discussion today. We are gathered here to dwell into the evolving landscape of the used oil extended producer responsibility, or the EPR, and its implication on various businesses, policymakers, and all the industry stakeholders. The collaboration between Rosefield Energy Tech and the Petroleum Re-Refiners Association of India, or PRAI, on this forum highlights the significance of this topic. Today, we will explore the overview of the EPR, updates or the developments post EPR, key aspects on refiners in the circular economy, like the technology bottom residue, and overall deliverables for various stakeholders over the next 2 years. The EPR intends to give a boost to the recycling industry, which was facing a lot of issues, mainly on the availability of used oil and recycling technology. As the EPR makes the producers, that is, sellers of fresh lubricants, liable for recycling of used oil, we expect some good interest as well as funding to both collection and recycling technology. While the EPR came into effect from 1st April 2024, the portal became live few months later. The portal is now open for registration to both producers and recyclers. We therefore urge the producers and the recyclers to take this opportunity and register on the portal if you have not already registered and start your bit in this journey of sustainability. Today, we have the privilege of hearing from two esteemed speakers, Shailendra Gokhale, founder and director of Rosefield Energy Tech, and Philippe Matthew, Honorable Secretary General of Petroleum Re-Refiners Association of India. I'd first like to introduce Shailendra Gokhale. Shailendra Gokhale, the director of Rosefield Energy Tech, is a highly experienced and globally renowned expert in the energy and lubricant sector, having worked with renowned companies like Lubrizol and BP Castrol. He then went on to start his own consultancy in the lubricant sector, that is Rosefield. Shailendra is a sought after speaker at various international conferences. For the past few years, Shailendra has been working in the area of circular economy and is working with Niti Aayog, Central Pollution Control Board, Petroleum Re-Refiners Association of India to advance this cause of circular economy. I now take the opportunity to introduce Philippe G. Mr. Philippe Matthew is the managing director of Mangalam Lubricants, which is manufacturing all kinds of automotive and industrial lubricants and greases. He is the Secretary General of Petroleum Re-Refiners Association of India, which is an all India association for used oil re-refiners. He was also a member on the expert committee of used oil instituted by Niti Aayog and the Ministry of Petroleum. He was also the member at Bureau of Indian Standards, which is finalizing the specs of RRBO. And presently, as a secretary to PRI, he is also the member of steering committee under the Central Pollution Control Board, CPCB, which is overseeing the implementation of the new EPR rules on used oil. We are sure the expertise of these two speakers will provide some invaluable insights into navigating the complexities of used oil. We'll first hear from the speakers and then offer the platform for a live Q&A. Um, Over to Shailen, sir.
Okay, thanks, Kasturi. And I'm just going to put some slides. So hope you all can see.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so before I start, would like to certainly thank everyone who is attending this webinar today, the Rosefield Forum. And very happy to see that, the registrations have not just come from India, but also from Southeast Asia and also from Europe, which goes to show that how India circular economy is getting importance on the global footprint of various companies. India obviously is the third largest generator of used oil. So that also would be one of the reasons. And the way India has now been pushing the agenda of circular economy, I think we are seeing good numbers, and thanks a lot for that. Uh, what I intend to do now is basically I have a couple of slides. Means this is not, of course, the EPR fundamentals webinar, which I am aware of, but I would like just to start with some real basic stuff, which is I think important for me to drive the circular economy slides, which will come little later. So basically, circular economy used oil, it's basically a big transition from linear economy. If I was talking about used oil 3 years back or 4 years back, I would have spoken only about linear economy because oil producers were not aware, OEMs were not aware that oil can be recycled. Means obviously we had very superficial knowledge that the circular economy is happening somewhere in Europe, somewhere in North America, but India was not there at all, even 3.5 years back. But I must say that the way Niti Aayog, MOEFCC took a lead in pushing the circular economy agenda, and why it was important means earlier, prior to that, in India, we were just taking virgin base oil additives, converting into lubricants, and then dispose it off. Whereas when it was realized that we do have very finite resources, so it was important for us to ensure that the efficiency goes up. Then there also was going to be advantage of emission reduction because India, right from Paris Pact, and they are talking about achieving the zero emissions by 2070. It was very important that whichever way we can reduce the carbon emissions and footprint. And we realize that circular economy, if that oil can be used and recycled, then it will definitely bring down the emissions. And third one, for country like India, who is importing a lot of crude oil and base oils, if we are able to convert the used oil into the RRBO, I think it's going to really help us saving precious forex. So again, I will share some of those numbers there just to drive the point why government became so serious about adopting the circular economy. So it is important for India. As I mentioned, India is third largest used oil generator rather in the world. Then the rising economic growth and industrialization are definitely increasing pollution levels. We do have, the cities, metro cities, figuring in top 10 most polluted cities. So obviously, that's something we want to change going forward. Then expanding vehicle population as India is growing, GDP is growing. We see a lot of automobiles on the road thanks to great infrastructure which is being created. But it also has negative impact in terms of the pollution and the emissions. So again, it is important for us how we can reduce that. Then GHG, the greenhouse gas emissions, I think it's important that we should do everything what we can to reduce that, and also the product carbon footprint. Reducing that is extremely important. And if we are really serious about achieving the targets by 2070, and I'm aware that by 2030 also we need to achieve certain targets. So that's important. And last but not the least, energy savings are critical to sustainability. So if I just talk about little bit on benefits of circular economy in terms of environmental, then it can actually help to avoid. There is a scary information which is always saying that 1 liter of used oil contaminates 1 million liter of fresh water. So if circular economy can help to avoid that, nothing like that. The second one is metallic compounds which get into air. Not only the pollute the environment or air, but it also had carcinogenic effect. So it directly impacts health of the people. So something is really alarming, and as more cars come on the road and more industries start producing more goods, this is going to be even more serious because today not all the used oil is getting recycled. So most of it is being used as an alternative to furnace oil. So we have to do as an industry how we can reduce that and optimize and maximize channelizing used oil into the recycling by financial year 31. And why have I'm talking about this? Because the EPR is talking about next 7 years now, that what is going to be the EPR recycling target. So by FY31, when we reach 50% of the recycling target, it's going to help country immensely in terms of the GHG emissions. It will be reduced by almost 1.5 million metric ton. And if I talk in terms of number of trees, then it is equivalent to 60 million trees, which will absorb the CO. So you can imagine that what is the positive impact it will bring if we all adhere to the targets and if we all as industry get together. And the last, block, what you can see the graph is very interesting. This is a take from Infinium study, which they have done. What they are saying is that if we use the virgin base oil into the lubricants formulations, vis-a-vis if we start using the RRBO in the lubricant formulation, it can actually bring down the product carbon footprint by 40 to 50%. And I think it's a huge thing, while we all know that using RRBO will bring down emissions, will bring down pollution. But this, I think, is definitely helping us to quantify for that. So I think lube producers who are there today on the call definitely, can look at this aspect, is that what happens directly to the carbon emissions, the carbon footprint, if they start using RRBO into the formulations. Today, of course, EPR doesn't say that you have to use RRBO into your formulations, but this is something oil producers, my request to them is to take note of this so that when they address their shareholders and then when they talk to their customers, I think this is going to be one important point going forward. There are also economical benefits, which I am not talking much because a lot has been already talked about. And as I said, that this is not a basics of EPR, but just to quickly say, it obviously protects finite natural resources. If we recycle 500 KT of used oil, can save over 5,000 crores in crude oil imports. So that something is very, again, critical. Then it can create local jobs across the value chain. I have no doubt. The way collection will happen, the recycling will happen. Overall, oil producers will start from reformulating with RRBO and OEMs who are going to look at those. I think number of jobs are going to be enormous. And last is, as we know, the refining of used oil consumes 1/3 of energy compared to crude to VBO production, which is the base oil, virgin base oil production. Uh, this is, I think, a usual stuff, as we all know, that only 15 to 20% is recycled today. And that is one of the reasons that against those benefits and again that problem statement, Government of India wanted to push circular economy. So what is a problem statement, if I can just put that? So there are a couple of systemic barriers today in used oil ecosystem. So one is that there is absence of formal collection ecosystem. Then inadequate tracking and accountability. That is another important aspect. High used oil prices due to divergence to alternate products. And this is, I think, something is still not allowing us to channelize used oil into the recyclers plants. And there are various factors, as I mentioned earlier, is that there are benefits, and government is saying that if we have to avail the complete benefits of circular economy, we are there to work alongside the industry, and I will come to that in a little while. And technology and re-refining infrastructure gaps, and we are fortunate to have Matthew today, who will be talking more from recyclers' point of view and whether we are in a position today to make group one as per the requirement of market, when probably industry will be ready with group two, all those things. So I will leave it to Mr. Matthew. So against that problem, EPR is obviously is the solution, and why government is talking about EPR. And again, when Mr. Matthew will talk, I will request him to talk about his viewpoint, what could be the EPR certificate pricing. Since he is also on the committee of CPCB, I think it would be interesting to know. And Kasturi, I'm sure that question is on your mind. So
Absolutely.
this is, we have to understand that if we have to reduce the pollution level, if we have to make this earth and even our country cleaner, I think it is important that some mechanism has to be there to provide incentive to recyclers in improving re-refining process. Otherwise, we will continue to complain that, what we are asking for is not available. The specifications are still not matching. So I think it's our collective responsibility to ensure that EPR certificate and the pricing is used ultimately to provide that incentive. But recyclers are not going to be only the stakeholder. I think collectors need to take equally good responsibility to ensure that the oil is collected and then sent to recyclers, rather than they finding way to another alternative sectors, informal sectors. Again, they need to get some incentive, and that is where EPR pricing will have to be adjusted to that. Make oil producers responsible for cleaner environment. That is what EPR says, which stands for Extended Producers Responsibility, and put all stakeholders on the common platform to overcome challenges and deliver sustainable solutions together. That is what EPR has been talking about. And how government has taken that seriously, I will come to that. This is just a chart. I'm sure you guys have seen all this, that what is the percentage. One thing we should definitely keep in mind, that these are to be fulfilled by producers by purchasing EPR certificates, and that too from registered recyclers. Today, we are not talking about use of re-refined base oil in the products. So RRBO is not mandatory. Then EPR mandates following entities to register on the portal. So today we all know that producers, collection agents, used oil importers, and recyclers are stakeholders. Generators are not there on the portal today, but they do have certain responsibilities. And if you all, are interested, put your comment there on the chat. If you want to know more about EPR fundamentals and all that, we will be very happy to conduct some session on that. Yeah. But for obviously reason here, the purpose of this webinar is more to make you understand that where we are today, because my next slides will talk more on that. EPR targets are calculated automatically based on recovery percentage, so which again, because of that. Just to re-emphasize that, what are the lubricants exempted from the EPR regulations, because there is still some confusion. We come across some of the queries from the oil producers. So process oil, whether white oils or rubber processing oils, are completely out. Industrial lubricants, when we look at anti-rust oil or soluble cutting oil or industrial grease, they are out. And automotive lubricants like brake fluids, automotive grease, they are all exempted. So again, we will be very happy to guide you, because as you know that EPR, when you calculate based on the sales 2 years back, and then what is the recovery and the percentage of that, all you need to understand. But you can clearly see these products are exempted from the regulations. I think this is very, very important chart, which I wanted to bring it here, is that on the recycling targets, EPR certificates and Group 1 and 2 production. So I will just take a couple of minutes on this. This will also help you to understand how much EPR certificates are needed to be generated from the recyclers. So what you can see here, and I must say that this is outcome of the working groups who worked as a part of RECIC. What is RECIC? I will come to that in my next slide. But this simple chart, what it shows, if you look at financial year 25, and which is the 5% recycling target, and considering it is around 1100 KT of used oil which gets generated, which is recoverable, I would say. 5% of that comes to around 70 to 80 KT, which is required for the re-refining. That means oil producers will have to purchase EPR certificates to the tune of 70 to 80 KT. Yeah. So if we find 150 KT, 200 KT, something could be wrong unless, the oil producers have started collecting or facilitating collection and sending to re-refiners. Then obviously more number of EPR certificates will be available. But as per mandate, it's up to 70 to 80 KT. And it would be interesting to know from Mr. Matthew that whether re-refiners are ready to produce as per the specifications and generate DPR certificates. So RRBO production is, you can clearly say that because of the yield, 50 to 60, again 70 to 80 KT. And then Group 1 today, we all know that today Indian re-refiners are making Group 1. But when it goes to financial year 28, and here that is 20%. So if you recall, 27, 28, the recycling target is going to be 20%. That is where you have to purchase EPR certificates to the tune of 320 to 350. So I have just done simple arithmetic, 70 to 80 into 4, that is 20%. Against that RRBO production, and then Group 1, how much you need to produce. This will be available, which also would mean that if recyclers have started making good quality Group 1, then this is a big market that will also reduce the dependence on of Group 1 virgin base oil. And as we see today, the viscous, which is base oil Group 1, rather is hard to come because of certain refineries have been closed down across the globe. So that also gives good opportunity for recyclers. Of course, I know the question on your mind would be at what price. So that again, I will leave it to Mr. Matthew to answer. And then when it goes to financial year 31, then you can see this is going to be very critical. I think industry will require to buy certificates to the tune of 550. And if we are really, really good, then, up to 1,000 means obviously it all depends on the growth of automotive market and some of the industrial market. But why this chart is important for all of you to understand is how much certificates you need to buy, as a total. And this is what I was talking about, the resource efficiency, the circular economy coalition. This started with G20 when India, and then FICCI took initiative. FICCI was the nodal agency, and they created the vehicle called Resource Efficiency and Circular Economy Industry Coalition. They had Deloitte as a knowledge partner, and I must say that they did fantastic job there, leading the whole process by creating sub-working groups. And as you can see there, the 5 working groups were formed last 4 months, and they have done incredibly good job. And I'm very proud to say some of the Rosefield team members were also part of these sub-working groups. This used oil working group is being led or chaired by Mr. Srinivas, who is Executive Director, Lubes of HPCL. Incidentally, next month we are going to have the Rosefield conference, which is coming up on circular economy, where we are going to have Mr. Srinivas as the keynote speaker. So you will have opportunity to hear him more, more from horse's mouth, I would say. And obviously, most of the findings, you will see a lot of discussions around that. We'll have CPCB coming and talking. We will have some of the government agencies. We will have BIS coming and talking to the audience. So all in all, I think what we as Rosefield have decided to take it further, and RECIC is guiding partner for us for that conference. So you will see lot of stuff. Obviously, intention is not to take you through all these things because it will require a whole day conference where you will be able to get more. But idea here is to give you certain idea, I mean certain background. So these are the five recommendations. This is my last slide before we go to Matthew. So recommendations what have been made to government now by RECIC is establish National Used Oil Management Association. I think if we come together and govern the ecosystem, then a lot of things will start, moving. Because if we are talking about 15-20% of recycling happening only today, creating a lot of issues with respect to environment, pollution, etc. I think we all collectively can contribute. Another one is that we all know that collection is the biggest challenge, and strengthening the collection ecosystem and supply chain is going to be extremely important. And their phase-wise formalization could help. So initially, to start with, we could look at the formal segment, which is OEM workshops and few other non, the franchisee workshop, I would say. And there the workshops, which are independent workshops, so they will help. Third one is incentivizing inclusion of RRBO in lubricant formulation. That is one of the recommendations, because most of the oil companies are telling us that they would like to include RRBO. And one now very strong reason, as I have mentioned in the beginning, is that it can also help you in terms of product carbon footprint, PCF, apart from obviously telling your customers that how you are going to help environment. Enhancing group one, redefining capacity and adding group two capacity, where again, Mr. Matthew can talk more on that. And if our fifth recommendation is improving RRBO quality and market acceptance. I think if recyclers start getting EPR, the fee through EPR certificates, I think we will see a lot of improvement there. So in conclusion, the circular economy is most effective, sustainable solution for lubricants and additive industry. It's no more, just a lip service there where people are talking about what's happening on EPR. So this is where the update which should help you. Most of Asian countries have started adopting CE model. So India, of course, is taking really, really good lead. So we will see Vietnam has recently introduced, and Indonesia is talking about. Australia, New Zealand are already having very advanced. Japan is talking. China has created something very similar to India. And then many MNCs and NOCs in India have started contributing to CE. As you can see, some of the hydraulics, for example, they have started formulating with RRBO or even engine oils. Some of them have started making. And then last one is it provides great opportunity for businesses and brands to be seen contributing to sustainability and appreciated by shareholders and customers. So I think I've taken 22 minutes, Kasturi. So I think thank you on my side. Means obviously this is not the last slide, but I'm just closing here. Yeah, does that help?
Sure. Sure, certainly. Thank you so much, sir, for these wonderful insights on EPR. I'm sure the audience will also have some more questions. But before we go to their questions, I would now like to come to Matthew G and ask him some very important questions, which I'm sure which are on everyone's mind. One is, of course, updates on the EPR portal. How are the registrations happening? Second question everyone has in mind is the EPR certificate pricing. So, how are the discussions going on? When can we expect the EPR certificates to go live, and what pricing we will expect there? And then, of course, another question is the readiness of the re-refiners to meet these EPR targets, both in terms of generating the EPR certificates as well as in terms of producing RRBO. It may be in terms of specifications or meeting quality. So these are the three questions I think which are on everyone's mind. Update on the EPR portal, EPR certificate pricing, and readiness of the re-refiners. Over to you, Matt.
Thank you, Kasturi, and a warm good afternoon to all the people who are right now listening to this webinar. First of all, you are talking about EPR portal uploading. Here, I would like to say that around 98 applications are already uploaded for approval, out of which 76 are in progress and 28 has been granted for the producers. This is for the producers portal. So I would say this is now catching traction. Yes, we were having some challenges. Last 10 days, the portal was closed down because it was being, they were shifting to NIC. NIC is the government, for basically the agency
Sorry.
who handles all these web related work. So NIC has now taken over, but there was a challenge of nearly 10 days. Now it's stabilized and the portal is working. In fact, just today, HPCL has also applied and they have been successful in making the payment, and they have now in the received number of applications that has been received. If you look at the recyclers, around 89 applications have been received, and out of these 89, 82 are in progress, and 5 of them have been granted. So this is also making steady progress. I think recyclers are now, many of them are almost ready. There were some challenges regarding taking of photographs on the location based. Those have also been told to the recyclers, and now I think in the next 10 to 15 days, another 100 applications should be coming in from the recycler side. Now the challenge is about the collection agents. This portal has not yet opened till date, and as per the informations available, it should be open in the next 10 to 15 days. Sorry, 7 to 8 days. In the next 7 to 8 days, the collectors should be ready. But the whole challenge regarding the collectors is that as Shalendarji's presentation, it was very clear that the entire collection system is in an informal sector. So the whole problem is that very few of them, other than like in Karnataka, there is a group Kora, and in Gujarat, Gora is coming up, and maybe another 2 or 3 entities who would be, properly who are registered with the pollution control boards. Most of them are not registered on the pollution control board, but many of them are having the GST registrations. So this needs to be looked into, and I had already requested the pollution control board to have some way around, for which they have told us that ask them to register in the as a CA1 category. So once they are registered as a CA1 category, they do not require a pollution certificate. Only the GST certificate is enough, and from there they migrate towards CA2. They can get their godowns registered with the pollution department, and once the godowns are registered, they can apply as a CA2, and over a period of time, I think this should come into the formal sector. So overall, I think it's a good picture that's coming up, and we should see more and more people coming in and more traction picking up. And with the producers and the recyclers and the collection agents all together on one place, on one portal, EPR should start succeeding, is what I feel. The second question that you asked was about the cost of the EPR
EPR
certificate.
certificates.
So
Yes.
this is a very challenging area, and a lot of hot debates took place. And anywhere in between 3 rupees to 40 rupees was being debated on this platform, and it was debated with the CPCP, various people having various views on this subject. Now, one thing is to be understood is what exactly is the concept of the EPR value of the certificate. What is the concept behind it? The concept is nothing but the avoidance cost. Why used oil is not coming into the formal sector, and where it is going, that we are not looking into right now, but why it is not coming into the formal sector, and what should be the amount paid to a recycler or to a collection agent, due to which the oil will come into the formal sector. So the avoidance cost. So if we look at the avoidance cost, generally speaking, the cost of the used oil GST, the GST that would be applied onto the cost of the used oil. So if we have a cost of 40 rupees today, 18% is the GST.
GST.
So 18 percentage of the 40 rupees. Because this is a double-edged sword. The double-edged sword in the sense that if in case the person who is generating the used oil, he is not selling the used oil on invoice. He is selling, in any case, he is selling and he is getting the value. But the whole problem is that he is not selling it on bill. He is not selling it on invoice. So in case he is caught, the same EC value would be applied onto him. So he has a very simple calculation that if he sells it on invoice, he would be paying the GST. And the GST amount is coming to around 18 to 19 rupees, the 18 percentage of 40 rupees. So that would be, that's the approximate value what I am trying to bring in. So here the producers will have to understand one thing, that this EPR cost should not be treated as a cost for the first year at least. In the second year, this cost is going to be dynamic, is what CPCB has said. And the avoidance cost, as and when it comes down, the EPR cost would be coming down. So this is the most wonderful part of it. The first year, it's a pain that all of us will have to take. And the good thing for the producers is that the market is going to explode. As per price estimate, almost 25 to 40 percentage of the market is in the informal sector. That's a huge market. 25 to 40% of the market is a huge market. So if the even if the first year 25% of that 40%, that is around 10% of the market grows, it's the producers who stand to gain. So each producer should be on the lookout for increasing their market share. This is a wonderful opportunity that's coming in. And I would say, and I would, in fact, I would request the producers to look at this as a challenge, not just as a pain, but as an opportunity, that in the coming 1 year, the market is going to explode, because the informal sector could be slowly, it would be disintegrating, it would be merging with the informal sector, and the market would be growing on paper at least. So the market for the formal producers who are actually working, for them, the market would be growing. They would be increasing their sales. So that is the most important aspect at this point of time that I would like to share. But in any case, the EPR value is right now, it is not yet announced. It will be announced by the Central Pollution Control Board. All the stakeholders, they have sent in their viewpoints. Producers have also sent their viewpoints. Recyclers have also sent in their viewpoints. Now it all depends on the Central Pollution Control Board. The steering committee meeting would be deciding the EPR value. And but I have only one message at this point of time. Whatever be the EPR value, it is not a permanent value. It's a dynamic value. It's not fixed. The basic concept is the avoidance cost. As we journey ahead, the avoidance cost would be coming down. That I'm 100% sure it will be coming down, because the truly speaking, the avoidance cost would be the only the difference between the used oil price and the fuel price, which would be hardly 5 or 6 rupees. So in the long term, that would be the EPR cost, is what I believe. Now, if you look at the waste that the recycling industries are generating, that is the bottom residue. Now, world over, bottom residue is a resource. So, if that resource is utilized by the producers, there are many ways that many of the producers can come forward, like for rubber process oils, for road making, for substitute as a bitumen. All these things are already established. It's only the producers need to come forward. If this happens, this 3 to 4 rupees will also vanish. Means that will be an earning that would be
Will
going to
further
the.
lower the EPR
Yes,
certainly.
it will come further lower the EPR. So that way, if you look at the EPR, maybe 4 5 years down the line, it would be hardly 1 or 2 rupees. So this is what we have to keep in mind. It's a pain for the start. Yes, it's a pain, but that pain should be looked as an opportunity, by way of that the market share of for each producer is going to go up if they work towards that end. And Kasturi, what was your third question?
The readiness of the recyclers to basically
Okay.
meet the EPR targets or
Okay.
the production of RR.
It's a, it's a real like that whether the chicken comes first or the egg comes first is the big question to answer. It's very difficult. But the fact is, today, if you look at it, already 1,000 KT refining is happening today. Already it's happening. Now, how soon that 1,000 KT starts converted into the formal sector is the question. So, with the steps taken by the producers, especially by the public sector units, for buying up the RRBOs available, and they have done a wonderful job. They have, in fact, been very bold, I would say. And Indian Oil Corporation, HPCL, BPCL to some extent, yes, they have also floated tenders. So they have started buying a lot of RRBOs from the market. Indian Oil, especially, has been very aggressive. They have come up with almost every 2 months they are coming up with tenders. So they are giving the traction. So I believe over a period of time, industry would be ready. Till date, we have to understand what was happening. Till date, it was basically the market was not there, and investment for a good technology plant is very high, anywhere in between 30, 40 to 50 CR. If you look at group 1 only, and if you look for group 2, though it is much, much higher, not in the MSME sector, it would go into the larger sectors. So we have to look at that angle. That till this time, the used oil available was very costly, and with that cost, no person would, in his right mind, would be putting in money for a plant which is not going to give a ROI, which will not give a decent ROI. So, like, say, in 3 to 4 years, the cost of the plant has to come back. So, if that's not happening, nobody is putting in money. And that is the basic reason why there has been some complaints from some sectors that the quality of the RRBO is not up to the mark. But if you look at specific instances where the additive manufacturers have been going around, they have been picking up samples, and they have got good RRBO. They have formulated different products out of RRBOs, and they have developed additives for these RRBOs which are existing in the market. And so we cannot rule out totally that it is not available. It is available, and it's available at present with maybe 20 or 25 recyclers. And Indian Oil is buying from those recyclers. They are happy. HPCL is also buying. And I believe the other, the 25, maybe 30 recyclers, other than those people who are also on the sidelines, they are also ready. Once the producers come forward, once the private sector producers come forward, they start laying down the specifications. Need not be BIS specifications. They can have their own specifications, because the usage for RRBOs are for different areas where the private sectors are working, like industrial lubricants, lot of thermic oils, quenching oils. All these, it's already specifications are there, and the RRBOs are being produced. So they have to come forward. They have to start buying, and I think it's just a matter of time that they will start getting the oil. We don't have to worry much on this count.
Correct. Absolutely. Another question I would like to ask is that as a recycler, what do you expect, or what kind of help do you expect from the producers, so that the journey of this EPR is a win-win for both the producer as well as the recycler? So
Yeah, I
how
would like
can
to.
basically producers and recyclers collaborate?
Yes, yes, that would be a wonderful thing to happen. Producers and recyclers collaborating, because that would give a more stable market for the producers as well as for the recyclers. The basic collaboration I would look forward to is the producers going in for MOU sort of purchases, which gives more stability to the price of the RRBOs, which gives more stability to the recyclers to look forward to getting a steady market and steady margins, without going in for the vast variations in crude oil prices that keeps happening every month. So this is one area of concern that the recyclers would be having. Like every month, the cost of the virgin base oils keeps fluctuating. But when you look at the used oil prices, this the generators are getting it for free. So if we can come out with some kind of a formulation or some kind of a methodology where the generators would be given a uniform sort of price, and with that uniform sort of price, the recyclers are also offered, say, fixed margin, where they have a ROI of maybe 2 3 years of their plant cost. With that kind of margins, with when the recycler starts producing, so the producers will also be getting the recycled oil at a very reasonable rates, much below the virgin base oil prices. So that would add to a big incentive for the producers. The other area where we would like to collaborate is that where we can approach the government for incentivizing the inclusion of RRBO, which Shalendarji was speaking in his presentation, incentivizing the inclusion of RRBO in the RRBO formulation in formulations. Here, the government needs to be impressed upon that they have already got GST on the original oil, on the oil that the OEMs have purchased, and they have already sold in the market. The producers have sold in the market. There, they have already got the GST, and the used oil is being generated out of GST paid, oil. So the from the GST paid lube oil, the used oil is being generated. So if you are applying GST again on that used oil, this is a double application of GST. So this is to be the basic concept that we need to impress upon the ministry, the finance ministry. For this, it's recyclers alone cannot do this. So we have to come together, the producers and the recyclers, and we have to tell them that if a product contains X percentage, say for example 25% of RRBO in a product, so that should not attract 18%. It should attract maybe 12%. So that would be a big incentive for the producers. They can market it in the market with a 12% GST, vis-a-vis to 18% if it is containing 100% virgin waste stocks. So that will be a big incentive for the producers, as well as that incentive gets rubbed off to the recyclers. So these would be two different areas that we can come forward. The third area that the recyclers would be looking forward to is what the public sector units right now is doing in the tender process, where they are asking for performance guarantees. And by for performance guarantees, bank guarantee is being insisted upon, 5% of the bank guarantee. So this is basically locking up the working capital of the recyclers. So here I would like to maybe basic concept why this is required. Basically, it is required because they want to protect themselves, that the recyclers do not commit for the quantity and then they run away. They suppose tomorrow the prices is going, like the prices are going up. They should
Right.
not leave the market. So there is already they have a power of blacklisting. If one PSU blacklists one recycler, that can be blacklisted for the next 6 months across the all the public sector units. So this needs to be, the concerns of the PSUs have to be understood. Then only we can
Correct.
give a proper, suggestions what could be done. But charging performance guarantee through by way of a bank guarantee is, I don't think, a very bright idea, because the working capital is getting blocked up for large uh, amounts of money. It's almost 5%. So that is one area that we would like to look to, or maybe even they can explore to accepting the surety. But surety is also an option that has been promoted by the Ministry of Finance. Very recently, they are now pushing towards more and more accepting surety, and especially this is being seen in the road sector by the National Highway Corporation, NHAI. They are being pushed by the Ministry of Roadways to not take a bank guarantee, and they need to take only surety. But that is only a concept I am saying. This maybe we need to understand the concerns of the public sector units, why they require this performance guarantee. Then we can
Correct.
more about this. The third
Sure.
thing is that we would like to suggest to the public sector units is that the tender quantities, if it is greater than 1,000 tons, they should be they can divide it in between two, instead of two people, the two parties entities, they can divide it into three or four entities. They can offer it to the second, third, and fourth entity. So that gives a more equitable, and more divided distribution amongst the recyclers. And the oil companies can also learn to, dealing with more number of people. They can get more types of RRBOs. They can study the vendors. They can broad base their procurement. So this gives a better opportunity to the recyclers too, because they will also start gearing up towards supplies. Now, what is happening, if it's a large quantity, only one or two persons are supplying, and others are, on the sidelines. So this will give a more inclusion to the recycling community.
Absolutely. So we have a lot of questions coming in. Uh, so audience, you can type in your questions in the Q&A section of Zoom. Before I go to the audience questions, I have a special announcement to make. Rosefield, in association with PRAI, has been organizing conferences to bring all the stakeholders together. So, again, we'll be organizing the fourth Rosefield conference in association with PRAI for circular economy in used oil on 26th of May in New Delhi. As a token of appreciation for attending this webinar, we have a special discount for registering for the conference, which is valid till midnight today. You can use the link in the chat box to avail the discount. So I would urge everyone to register for the conference today itself and avail the discount. If you have any queries regarding registration for the conference, you can send us an email at info@rosefieldb2b.com, and you can always visit our website rosefieldsustainability.com to understand more details about the conference.
Okay. So, Kasturi, there is one hand up. Yunus time is before Q&A. I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe is there
If
any?
you
Uh,
can type
Generally,
out your questions in the Q&A.
yeah, before we take the Q&A,
Yes.
I think there are a lot of recyclers also today present here. Am I right?
Yes.
Can I take another 5 minutes just to brief the recyclers about some things that they need to be ready once the the registration is granted? Do I have 5 minutes?
You have, or maybe what we can do, we can have question and answers where, all oil producers and all that there. Unless, Mr. Matthew, you want oil producers also to get engaged into your conversation with
Oh,
re-refiners.
okay, then in that case, we can take the Q&A.
Yeah, so we
Ye-
can, after Q&A then you
After
can.
Q&A.
Yes.
Sure. I think the first question was any idea on when the collection agents can register? I think that you have already answered. We are expecting registration of collection agents over the next 7-8 days.
Yeah, the
Uh,
collection agents portal is opening in the next 7 to 8 days. It is the portal is under test right now. So testing generally takes around 5 to 6 days. So this is my guesswork that it should be open in the next 6 to 7 to 8 days. So here I would like to say that the portal for used oil importers is already open. So in case there are any
right,
traders who would like to trade in used oil from abroad, like they want to import the used oil and they want to sell it to the recyclers. So they that portal is now open and they can upload their credentials and they can get themselves registered.
I have another question from an anonymous attendee. How can import of used oil be stopped so that low pricing can be reduced?
Import of used oil or import of RRBO?
Import of used oil is what they are asking.
Import of used oil is would be good for the recyclers who would be looking for an export market. So why should we stop or why should we discourage import of used oil? And maybe the person who has asked the question should be counter ask this question, I believe.
Sure. I have an interesting question regarding the national association that sir mentioned. It says, what are the benefits of the national association, which will be a centralized institute, and instead, can India implement a government system that is more decentralized, or would that be inconvenient?
I believe why this has been recommended is, as I was saying, that if we can have a stable used oil price instead of the present, like when you look at virgin base oil prices, every
Right,
month there is a announcement of the VBO price, and every month there is a wide variation, and this wide variation is creating a problem for the RRBO price. So if we
correct,
can have like a steady price of used oil, and that
correct,
steady price of used oil would get converted to a steady RRBO price, which would be maybe 8 to 10% less than the virgin base oil prices. That would give a lot of comfort to the producers, and that would give a steady margin to the recyclers. So this would be a win-win situation for everybody. So probably that is why the national, management association has been recommended, and this association is nothing but would be a like it is to be approved by the government, and if it is approved by the government, then in that case, it's like a quasi government, almost like a quasi
correct.
government.
Sir, sir, your thoughts on the national association?
No, I think I agree with Matthew. Means, having the national association will ensure that there is a common voice, for the stakeholders, and it will ensure that it takes interest of all the stakeholders. So, since this will be a platform where oil producers, collectors, recyclers, everybody, even including OEMs, I'm saying
Right,
were generators, but I think it's going to really help. China had similar, thing. So Probably, I know that in some of the European countries, they do have slightly different, setup. But for
Right.
countries like India, I think this is a good way of, accelerating the circular economy agenda.
Right. We have one question on RRBO from Rahul Vaish. RRBO normally available is only in lower grades, that is 150. How come 40% target can be achieved with limited base oil viscosity? And I think we had another similar question from Sumit Pandey. He says, I am a producer. I want to understand what percent of recycled oil we have to add in 1 liter of oil.
See, there is no, like that how much percentage of recycled oil is to be added in any formulation. There is no mandate.
Right.
Government has never mandated anything. It is up to the producers. They can use 100% BBO. They can use even 100% RRBO. It's all depends on what product they are making, what quality they are looking forward to, and what is their marketing strategy. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, and just to add to what Mr. Matthew has said, while I agree that it is going to be more like 150, but from our discussions with OEMs, what we understood that OEMs are ready even to work with oil producers who would be putting a certain percentage. I think up to 10% don't have any issue, but of course, there has to be some qualification criteria for that. But what they are saying is that that can be used in any formulations, even it can go up to CK4. So something here we are not just talking about group one replacement by group one, but even in your formulations where you have completely group two and group three formulation, you can still go with RRBO, which is equivalent to group one, 150 in those grades. So somewhere, there is going to be always acceptance of RRBO. We should not see only against SN 150 or SN 500. While I agree with Rahul, what he's trying to say is that we use SN 500 as well, but this is not direct replacement. Unless my question to Mr. Matthew is that do you see any technology which could increase the viscosity of the RRBO?
First of all, let me say one thing that the impression that we are producing only 150, that is wrong. SN 150
Okay.
is not what we are producing exactly. What we are producing, it's around 40 to 45 centistokes, 40, 45 centistokes, which essentially translates to around the SN 300 roundabout.
Okay.
Okay.
So now coming back to, is there any technology? Yes, there is technology. We can even produce up to bright stock. That is also there. And all these, in the coming days, you would be seeing that many of the plants would be coming up who would be producing viscosities ranging around the 70 to 80 centistokes. Having said that, a huge market is there for now 5W, 10W, 0W. There's a huge market. For that, what we are producing right now is the right product. That's around 40, 45 centistokes and at 100 around 6.5 to 7 centistokes. What we are producing is a high VI oil. This is to be understood. Always the VI that the recyclers are getting is above 110, typically around 114, 115. That's what the recyclers are getting right now. So which means the 100 at 100 degrees centigrade, the centistokes would be around the 6.5, 6.8, nearing 7. So there's a big market for these type of products. And as I said, we are not limited to that. With the technology change, the viscosities would be going up, and these can go even up to 300, 320 centistokes.
Okay, interesting.
Mm.
Kasturi, and I can
We
see
have
some
an
of the
we
questions,
have
you know,
sorry.
there, some of the questions, I think it's definitely going to be valuable because we'll have CPCB coming for our conference. So maybe some of these questions we can also send it to them so that they can come prepared. And with Matthew there as part of CPCB steering committee also will help. Yeah, Mr. Matthew, I
Yes,
can.
it's
Absolutely.
very right. Yeah.
Absolutely. So again, I urge audience, if you have any questions, which may not be answered here, do write to us. We'll certainly try to include them or ensure they get asked during the conference where, like Selena mentioned, we have people from CPCB, we have people from BIS, different lubricant companies, of course, Matthew G, and a few recyclers will also be there. So I am sure all your questions will be answered. So do share your questions.
Oh, yeah.
Uh,
One more thing I would like to, bring to the attention of the producers. There is a lobby of, importers who are now trying to go to the court and get this EPR exempted for the importers. This is not to the, best of interest either for the recycler or for the producers when you look at the EPR angle. So why this is not to the best of interest is that because the imported base oil, that if it is kept out of EPR ambit for the importers, they are free to sell to any entity who is not, who is not registered on the EPR portal. So again, that is opportunity for the informal sector to keep doing the business how they are doing today. So if we want to migrate towards the entire industry needs to migrate towards formal sector, and if we all want that the market for the formal sector should go up, and the informal sector also merges with the formal sector, with they also surviving, they also having share of the market, and the formal producers also having increasing the share of the market, we all must come together to resist this in the if required in the court itself. This is one message I would like to keep to all the producers on this platform.
That's good.
we have an interesting question from Devdatta Kulkarni. He's asking, is any grading of used oil being planned at the point of collection?
Yes, we are trying to get it graded. We have already given our suggestion as a PRAI. We have told the government that any collection agent who is getting registered as a CA2 and who is having a godown, he must necessarily have at least a minimum 2 tanks or even preferably 3 tanks. So any like brake oils, coolants, all these materials which cannot be recycled with the used oil, that should be kept separately in a separate tank. It should be segregated at the generating point itself. And any gear oil that's coming out, that should also be kept separately and it should be segregated. So this has been suggested, and I think this should be coming in. It should be rolled out maybe in the coming days.
We have a few questions related to EPR credits. Farooq Warsi is asking, we are already 2024-25 is over, but we nowhere see credits available on the portal. In that case, will it carry any penalty? Another anonymous attendee is asking, we are still struggling to register. In this case, what is going to happen to the first year, that is 2024-25 EPR targets? And we had one more question. Is there any time to register for EPR certificate?
I think, Kasturi, most of these questions are very pertinent to be asked CPCB. We
Right,
will, of course, they will come and address all those queries in our conference. But if
absolutely.
something with Mr. Matthews, of course, if he wants to answer some of those, Mr.
I can
Matthews.
attempt to answer the
Yeah,
first
yeah,
question,
please.
that there
Please.
is EPR registrations are very slow, and that's one of the reason why EPR credits is not getting generated. But I think in the next 1 or 2 months, there would be a big huge generation that's going to happen in the next maybe within a 1 or 2 months. In any case, we have got 2 years time, so that's not a big issue or a big challenge for anybody. No one need to worry about it. We have a 2 year window frame for getting the EPR generated
Okay.
and selling it and the people to buy it.
Another interesting question from Jatin Dhamani: how the end user institution can be covered under the EPR, or is it covered?
End
I think
use
basically he's talking of the generators, end user who are using lubricants.
that actually is a challenge that we are now seized with. Basically, we are now trying to impress upon the OEMs to come forward. And we are, in fact, I had a word with Sharandarji also that in the coming May 26th conference that we are going to have, we must bring in at least 2 or 3 OEMs so that they can be impressed upon that this is an area that they have to look after, because they are having the data of each workshops, how much of lube they have consumed, and based on the lube consumed, we can, or the OEMs can easily estimate what is the used oil that has been generated. And once the generated quantity is assessed, or it is estimated, so they can be forced to sell that kind of a used oil which they have generated. So then
See,
that
I
comes
think
into the loop.
the bulk generators are already part of the EPR, and I'm sure the environment compensation will also, they'll be also liable, the generators will also be liable for the environmental
Yeah,
compensation,
true. They will
right?
be
In some
liable,
form.
but right now they are not mandated to be, to be registered.
Register per
Yeah, they are
se.
not mandated to be registered. But yes,
Right.
they have to give their figures. They have to give a declaration. They have to give a return. So that way they are being brought into the loop.
We have a question from Rohit Halwai. He's asking, is there any timeline to register for EPR? And once we register in EPR, is it compulsory to meet EPR targets?
See, there is no timeline for registration as such. As on date, they are not. There's no timeline. But as per the rules, any entity who is not registered, they cannot carry on the business. So that is to be understood very well. That you have to be. If you are running a business, then you should be registered at the earliest. So that is one part of. Yeah. And what is the second question? Second part?
Once they register, are they liable to meet the EPR target? Is it compulsory to
Yes.
meet the EPR?
Once they are registered, it all depends on what product they are making. If they are making any product from where there is no used oil is being generated, automatically the portal will give them zero target. So this is to be understood very well by any producer, by all the producers, that the product that they are making, if the product is generating any used oil, only then they are liable for EPR targets. If their product is not generating any used oil, then they are not liable for any targets. Like Shalendarji gave a few examples. So that is only an example. The list is huge, but the concept is to be understood. The concept is
Correct.
that if you are making a product and that product is going into the market, and from the market, from the use of that product, if used oil is being generated or not being generated, so that makes the difference. If it is being generated, then they are liable. If it is not being generated, then it's not liable. Like the examples that Shanandaji gave in his slide, I'll add just one item. There are lot many more items, but I would just add one
Okay.
item. That is the mold oil. There's a huge market for mold oil in many sectors, and these mold oil do not generate any used oil because that oil gets consumed. It's just like they are putting it on a like we when we make a paratha, you put some oil onto the tawa, so that oil gets stuck to the product itself. So that's what happening. There's no used oil being generated. So for a mold oil, their target would be nil. So this is the concept.
Okay. We have a question from Tushar Patolia. He says few states of pollution control boards have their own hazardous waste transport registration. So when it can be centralized, so we can collect it across pan India without registering in every state. Example, if you have vehicle registered in Gujarat Pollution Control Board and you have to collect material from Madhya Pradesh, you have to again register there, which will certainly cost some good amount. So
Very good.
centralized collection
Yeah,
is
very
what
good
you're
question. A very good question. The system is already there for a centralized registration. The portal is already open. The National Hazardous Waste Tracking portal is already open,
okay.
and anybody can go and get it registered on the national tracking system. So that's already open. Once you are
For registering the vehicles
for
basically.
registering the vehicle, that's right.
Okay, okay. Uh, then we have one question regarding targets. The targets that were shown, are these final targets or any brand and co-brand adjustments will be done to arrive at final targets?
Well, this is I would say tug of war going between the OEMs and the producers. Rightly speaking, if the OEM has given their brand, they are also liable. But I think the CPCB would be taking a call on that.
And Tushar is further asking, is there any perk for single entity who is a producer as well as a recycler?
Yeah, a single entity can get themselves registered for both, as a producer as well as a recycler. It can be done. Even a single entity can go in for all the four. It all depends on what business they are doing. If the
Right.
entity is doing business of production, he's a producer. If he's doing recycling, then he's a recycler. If he's collecting, then he's a collector. And if he's importing used oil and selling it to others, or maybe consuming himself, then he's a usual importer. So a single entity can do all the four businesses or a single business. It's all depends on what they are doing.
But they have to register separately. Means
Yes, they have to separately register. Correct.
And what about toll blenders? How much target will toll blenders have?
As
Or
far as I know, the toll blenders would not be having any targets. It's the person who has given that job, the person who has given the job to the toll blender, he will be liable.
yeah,
one question from Rohit Halwai, is steel rolling have EPR? I think as of now there are only 5 EPRs in India. Plastic, e-waste, battery, tires, and then used oil. But yes, of course, if any steel companies using lubricants and disposing of used oil, they will have to adhere to the used oil regulations.
Yeah, they have to give it to an authorized recycler or to an authorized collection agent.
Right.
Either
And
of the two.
similarly, question from transformer oil, not only garages, bulk generators for transformer oils, which are consumed by electricity boards. So I think they will also
Yeah,
come under bulk
yeah, they
generators.
will also come under this EPR rules. Correct.
One question we have is various challenges are there for both producers and recyclers. So where can we further discuss them or get these topics discussed?
Shalandaji?
that come again, Kasturi? What's the question?
There are a lot of challenges in this EPR. So of course, few of them are asked here, but of course, for paucity of time,
Mhm.
all questions are not getting answered. So one of the anonymous attendees asking,
Many
where can
consultants
the
are there.
challenges and solutions be addressed in future?
So yeah, means challenges today, if we really see, the committee or the working group actually looked at the five top. There would be, I'm sure, going to be a lot of challenges which are not included in that. So like we talked about collection. So they are talking about, start with, we will have the formal one, and then we'll go to the informal one later, because both have different set of challenges. So again, in terms of prioritizing, it is thought that let's go with collection in organized sector. But good to hear Mr. Matthew talking about that. Even some of the unorganized sector also will be encouraged now to join that. But in terms of implementation, some of the challenges will have to be prioritized. So collection is one thing, group one and two,
I think his question was different. What he was trying to ask was probably that there are a lot of challenges in this EPR, both for the producers and recyclers. Is there any agency who can help him?
Oh, okay. I didn't. Where is that question? Sorry, I looked
Yeah,
at.
it's there in the from an anonymous attendee.
Okay, so he's talking about any agency.
I think that's
No, he didn't refer to an agency. It was probably some forum or something he might have
yeah,
asked, because he
forum.
just asked in future where can these challenges get addressed, or where can they be discussed.
Yeah, so one of the reasons why this National Institute has been talked about, but
Right,
whoever has asked, we in Rosefield will be happy at least to take that question and ask the pertinent authorities, in our capacity, since
right.
we are now, closely working with various stakeholders. So, while I do not want to say that only Rosefield is qualified to do that, but we can definitely help. I'm still struggling to find that question, so sorry if I have not picked up that.
If there is any specific challenge, then maybe if I can try to attempt it. But for a general
Sure.
challenge, like if they are not able to navigate the portal and things like that, maybe there are a lot of agencies I think in the market these days.
Yeah, a lot of agencies. Yeah, yeah, and certainly we will help if there is some good agency we can redirect. We'll be happy to redirect.
Yeah.
Then one question is, how will refiners' interest be kept in mind against unorganized sector? I think very interesting question.
Recyclers interest.
Interest, how it will be kept in mind against unorganized sectors.
Unorganized sector means the unorganized recyclers.
I think more of unorganized collectors they must be referring to.
See,
The used oil that is getting used for other purpose rather than
yeah,
recycling.
that's a very good question. See, that is the main challenge that we all are facing today. That the used oil that is being generated is not getting invoiced, it's not getting billed. So that is the reason why I think what Shalandarji was speaking about in RECIC, where they have proposed for a national management for association for management of the used oil. If these used oils get billed, if it is invoiced, which means it gets captured onto the portal. And once it gets captured onto the portal, means it has to come into the organized sector. It cannot go into the unorganized sector. So here is the whole catch. If the used oil is getting invoiced or if it is not getting invoiced. If it's not getting invoiced, which means it's a challenge. It's the what we are all facing for the last 15, 20 years. We have gone through this pain for the last 2 decades. And that is why these rules are here. That is why this EPR is here. And we all look forward that within maybe 1 or 2 years, we should be getting over this problem. And here, with the coming together of the recyclers and of the producers together, there will be a lot of information exchange between the two. And with that information exchange, I think the number of unorganized recyclers would be coming down in a period of time, because they will not be getting the raw material itself, and they will get only such used oil which will be invoiced. And once it is invoiced, means they have no way of wriggling out. So
I
it's
think
just a
another
matter of time.
interesting question from Arush Kapoor. He is asking, can EPR mandates be part of ESG, or are these two inherently very different?
Part of EST.
Yes.
ESG,
Yeah. So it would be, of course, in the sense circular economy is very much part of ESG. So EPR mandate is intended towards that, to help companies becoming more sustainable. Yeah, so they are not different. Part of, means that would be. I
right?
can see another question, Kasturi, from Deepak Dandavate. Means I'm just going through a couple of
Sure.
questions. He's
So he
talking
is
about.
asking, can you please explain exemption on use of RRBO again for clear understanding? What would be the scenario on mandatory use of RRBO for oil companies.
Yeah. So as of now, there is no mandate for usage of RRBO in the formulations. What mandate today talks only about purchasing the EPR certificates. So, but I'm sure that that could be a next logical step, like what we have seen in the plastics as well. That
Correct.
eventually it has to come and it is going to be good. Means if there are going to be buyers for RRBO and which is going to help these buyers, the lube producers, then why not? So
Absolutely.
as of now, there is no.
How I
Correct.
see is that as of now, it is not there. Very true what you have said is. I what I see coming days, maybe they will just incentivize a
Hmm.
certain percentage of
That
RRBO.
is one of the recommendations which have been made
Yeah,
to.
yeah. Probably the government would be accepting that instead of mandating. Mandating would not be a. It's not a good
Incentivizing
idea.
would be.
Yeah,
Incent-
mandating would not be a good idea.
Yeah, yeah,
Correct.
absolutely.
One question from Sumit Pandey. He's asking, why is it taking time for approval of the registration when they have already applied a few months back?
Registration for producer or for recycler?
Producer.
No, they have as on date they have approved. I think more than 21 applications have been approved already.
Already been approved.
Yeah, and
Correct.
I think in most of these cases are there are queries that the CPCB is raising, and
Okay.
these producers they should they should be very alert that they are not getting a. We have in fact told the CPCB that there should be a mail also going, but the mail is
Hmm.
not going. So the query
Okay.
is being raised on the website. So I would
Oh, okay.
request, yes, I would request all the producers to be alert and they check the
Keep checking the portal basically
yes,
if any
they have
queries are
to
being.
they have to use their ID and the password, and they have to log in into their yeah, website, and they have to see if there is any query. So if they have to keep answering whatever query comes. So if they
Right.
give proper answers to the query, there will be no. It will be done very fast.
Absolutely.
If the answer is not coming, then it lies there. It takes some.
Right. Think I'll just take up a couple of questions now. Of course, lot of questions coming in. Like I mentioned earlier, please write to us on info@rosefieldb2b.com. The email address is there in the chat box. So even if the questions are not answered here, we'll certainly try to come back to you with the collated answers. I'll just take the last question. I think Rohit Halwai has corrected his question. He's asking if we manufacture steel rolling oil, will it come under the EPR target? His
As
question
far
was
as
more on
I,
steel
yeah,
rolling
as far
oil.
as I know, steel rolling oil does not generate any used oil. If he will have to answer first whether it generates any used oil. If it
Okay,
generates any used oil, then he will be given a target. If it's not
okay,
generating any used oil, then the target will not be there. And that too, he will have to assess how much of used oil, if at all it is generating, how much used oil is being generated. If the
right.
used oil is only 10%, so then the target will be much less.
Okay. I'll take a last question now. He's asking, where can we get the list of oils that have EPR targets?
Again, we will have to understand this very clearly that there is no such list. It is up to you to assess whether the product that you have made is generating used oil. If it is not generating used oil, then there is no target. The concept is very, very clear. So you have
Okay.
to convince, and you should not give, I would say, you should never give a false statement. Because
Hmm.
if you are caught, then you have to give an environmental cess as compensation. So there will be a penalty on false statements.
Yeah.
So you have to be very clear. You have to be, the concept is very clear. If it is not generating used oil, there is no target. If it is generating used oil, then there is a target.
Right. Sure. I would again urge people to avail the webinar special discount for the conference. The link is there in the chat box. In the chat box, you'll also find a feedback form for this webinar. So do share your feedback to us. So you can either fill the Google form from the link in the chat box, or you can share or write to us at info@rosefieldb2b.com. Um, Before I take further questions, Matthew, do you want to address
Yeah,
anything, or
correct.
Shailendra, sir?
No, I must say that, going by the number of questions, there is definitely a huge interest, and I'm clearly seeing that commitment coming from oil producers, recyclers, and additive companies, big way, and OEMs, of course, are there. So, all in all, certainly we will try to answer those questions which could not be asked today, but thanks for posting those questions. Both Mr. Matthew and I will be very happy. Means when I say I, Rosefield team will be very happy to answer. So please write otherwise also, because we want to ensure that all your questions are answered in our conference, which is happening on 26th May, with the right stakeholders there. So that's only my request, and want to just say big thank you to all the participants, and they are still there. Uh,
Ranjanji, if there are recyclers left still
yes, so
participating,
I think, yeah, correct.
I would like to, address to the recyclers about the, preparations they have to be ready for once they are granted. They should be ready with certain datas. Mostly the datas are related to.
Sure, sure. So, Mr. Matthew, shall we then announce to the non-recyclers that webinar is over?
Yes, you can, and if they are interested, they can be there, or
Yeah,
if they
yeah,
are,
of course. If they are interested, please continue to be there.
and if the recyclers are there, they should remain back for another 5 minutes.
Yes, sir. Hmm?
Thank you to all the attendees for logging in today. Do write to us with your feedback uh, regarding this webinar, as well as if you have any questions for the conference. So do share your views or any questions you have regarding the conference. I would also like to thank PRAI for this webinar, for getting associated with Rosefield and helping us conduct this webinar. Do share the feedback form link is already in the chat box, as well as the webinar special conference discount link is also in the chat box. Please note that the webinar special discount is available only till midnight today, so do ensure to register for the conference today. Thank you everyone for joining in. I would urge the recyclers to stay back, as Matthew ji will address you now.
Yeah, thank you, Kasturiji. Dear recyclers, for all those who are here, I would like to just inform you that once you are registered, even after your real work starts after you are granted. Once you have been granted your registration, then you have to upload your data of your, procurement, production, and sales. Only these, once your production and your procurement, these two datas are uploaded, then you generate EPR. So this has to be, this is to be understood that EPR certificates would be generated only after you upload the data for your procurement and production data. Now, here what I would like to mention is that for when you are uploading the production data, they will be asking the date, they will be asking the batch number, they will be asking the used oil quantity that has been processed, and they will be asking for the RRBO that has been produced, and the meter reading for that particular batch. So batch number, for a particular every batch, you have to give the quantity of you first you have to give the date, then you have to give the batch number, then you have to give the used oil that has been processed, the quantity of the used oil that has been processed, the quantity of RRBO that has been produced, and the meter reading. So this meter reading, we never had a, I think most of us, we never had a, system or a practice of noting down the meter reading batch wise. So I have talked to the pollution control people. I talked to CPCB that this is not going to be very difficult. And there was initially a lot of arguments on this. They said, no, you will have to give it on batch wise. I said, then in that case, we will have to, in all probability, we can give you a monthly meter reading. And that's also because we do not have our own meters. It is the board or the electricity supplier who has given us the meter. And from there, when we take out the monthly billing, we can understand or we can get the data of our monthly meter reading and the monthly unit consumed. And from that, the number of batches that we have made, then we can divide it in the different batches and we can give you the figure. This is what I told them. Now the complication is that if one unit they are having more than one activity other than recycling activity, they are having some other production. In that case, how do they do it? So this is a challenge. Now they have just given us an assurance. This is only a verbal assurance that I have got, that for the last 2 years you can give your own methodology. You can give which will not be like, as I said, you can take out the total batches that you have made in a month. You divide it in between the total consumption and you give it. But in the coming days, they are not going to accept this. So please set up your internal meters and you please record the meter readings or the unit consumed batch wise, because from the 25 26 they are not going to accept it, and we all have to get ready towards this. This is the only message that I want to give right now. If any questions are there on this, I am ready to take. Otherwise, Kasturi, we can call it a day. Kasturi, are you there?
I'm there, Matiji. I think Kasturi should be there.
Uh,
Kasturi should be. Well, should do you want me to check with Kasturi?
no, I have just given my message, and if there is any question, I can take it. Otherwise, we can call it a day.
So let me just
I can't see.
Kasturi.
Yes,
Are
sir.
you?
You can see any questions?
Mm,
I think one question I can see from Jatin Dhamani, can we take the
Jatin,
percentage of operational losses mentioned in line with the report prepared by the expert committee on circular economy in used oil submitted by Niti Aayog?
See, the operational loss is not being asked directly. They are asking your batch number, the used oil quantity that has been processed, RRBO that has been produced, and the meter reading. These are the four variables that is being asked. They are, so whatever is left out is operational. It's not actually operational losses. It could be the light oils produced. There could be anything. So they might be coming up with the questions later on. But as on this portal data uploaded while during the upload time, it is not being asked.
but Mr. Matthew, for oil producers, there is one chart which talks about the operational losses. For example, engine oils, they say that it's a 75% recovery, 25% is a loss. So whatever engine oil they have sold 2 years back, for example, and then applying that 75%, for the engine oil, and then whatever comes out, 5% of that becomes the target.
See, what I was talking about was
Yeah,
for
so I believe Jatin's question is more towards that.
producers. You are talking about
Yes,
producers.
I
process.
think he's a producer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then again, I'm coming back to what I was speaking earlier. What should be your target that you yourself can fix by saying that the product that you have sold in the market, how much of used oil would be generated? So what Shalendarji just said is one product, that is an engine oil. For engine oil, the operational loss is around 25%.
Correct.
What is operational loss? Operational loss is nothing but how much of used oil is being generated with 1 kg of the product that you have sold. The product that you have sold is engine oil. Suppose it's an engine oil. If you have sold 100 liters of engine oil, then in that case, it is 75 liters that is coming back to the system as a used oil. In this case, the operational loss is 25%. Hence, you have to fix for your product. If you are making, suppose, grease, no oil is coming back. So the operational loss is 100%.
Yeah, correct.
Correct.
So there are certain percentages. So maybe Mr. Jatin, you can write to us, and then we, of course, PRAI and we will answer to you accordingly. Yeah, but there are certain, like hydraulic, I remember there is 50% loss. So gear oil is something similar. That's there. But Mr. Matthew, I must thank you also, because obviously, people ask a lot of questions, and the way you answered really were very good. I don't think that there is any now live question